Tao Te Ching, verse 71. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. All right. I'm gonna go into story time with this one to try and make it more clearer. This verse or stanza on the Tao Te Ching. All right. So um, it's always hard as a human as a man or a woman. It's always very hard to try and keep emotion out of anything, because I know we think that emotions are our friends, right? But we obviously can use emotion as well. We can use emotions to indicate that we're not living from no self. All right. So no, I've done this in the past. It's very painful, but at the same time, it's when you realize that emotions are not, and there's correct emotions, I guess, as well, that you're in charge of to a certain point, or the source is in charge of. And then there's emotions that are not your friend. They're not working for you, with you, in correlation with you as your own vibrating being. They're not really working with you, right? So when you kind of understand that, you can kind of like know that they're going to act up, and you can use them to try and be aware that, that your being is your enemy, right? So, so emotions can be used, and then and most of the time they're not really working for you. All right, but like I said, you can use them to elevate. Use them to elevate yourself, right? So, and you can only do that when you become aware. When you're aware, then you can go like, okay, there's nothing I can do to get out of my particular predicament, but I can be aware of it. Something may happen, something may not, right? So there is sick emotions. There is emotions that are sick, that are not kind of like, and there's different kinds. There's different areas about this. So I'm going to go into, like I said, I'm going to go into the story about that connects on to what this is about, right? So go back to 2006, the end of 2006. Okay, me and my dad and my brother, and we had this circus, and it was actually really, really good, but we didn't really handle it very well, to do with advertising and stuff like that. So it ran out. It lasted about 3 months, and we toured it. We started in Belfast, and then we toured it around, I say about till for about 3 months, and then we finally ran out of money. Even though the show was really, really good, it was a good product, but we didn't know the business side of it so much, and we didn't get enough, and it was costing too much to run it every week, and we wasn't making enough in any week, so we were actually losing every week, right? So anyway, so we finished the show, and then some of the trailers and the trucks and stuff like that we pulled in Ballymena, in this farm, around April, May time, something like that, right? So I remember, it was a smelly kind of farm. It was like, it was like living in a a heated toilet arena. So it was just smelly and mucky, and just, we had the trailers there and stuff like that. So, and one of the evenings, I had a beer with my dad, and whatever it was with this beer, I don't know what it was with this beer. It must have been poisoned, or just whatever it was. Anyway, I just got really fucking sick, dude. I mean, really sick. And it lasted a whole night. So I left my dad's truck, and went back to this small American trailer that we had, and me and my younger brother were staying in. And I just stayed in the end part of it, in this small kind of double bed area at the end. Right. So Let me just check to see if this is on. So I was staying at the end of this double bed area in the end of this small American trailer, right? So, and this sickness came over me, and it was just like fucking hell, man. I mean, I could not believe how fucking sick I was. It was just nauseous, like nausea, and just like you're dizzy. It's like you're on a ship in the middle of a big storm, and you just got seasickness, and it was just my whole system was out of whack. My vibration was out of whack. My being was just out of whack. My mind was all over the place. My emotions, it was just like I was shivering. I was just like, fucking hell, man. It was like a nightmare. And it must have lasted, I'd say, about 12 to 13 to 14 hours, something like that. And I got sick at the end of the bed. I was just throwing up. Even when I was nothing in my system, it just kept throwing up and throwing up and throwing up. And it was just like hell on earth, man. It was like hell on fucking earth, on earth, right? And so I hope I gave a description of that, how bad it was. It was really bad, right? And this is not like me. This is just trying to get to this, what this is about, right? So I always try and give an example. So it's coming from my own being. It's not coming from what I heard somewhere, right? So the next morning when it finally passed, it just passed all of a sudden, and when it passed, it was like I was born again because I got a taste of being sick, really sick. And it was such a relief to not be sick anymore that all the other drugs that we're all doing every moment of the day, that's why we're all pissed off inside. That's why we're all fucking agitated with other people. That's why we're all kind of like, we feel hard done by and we let all these things get up on us. He done this, she done that. We don't give a flying fuck in reality what people do on us because there's nothing they can do on us. All right? It's just because we're living in this way of being petty and all the rest of it. We don't know what it's like to be in real hardship. So we let these little tiny stupid things get to us, right? And then we blow everything way out of proportion and we react to people in the wrong way. And we even sometimes we'll even fucking like really kind of like leave good people because we're so convinced that they're doing something on us when it's really your demonic, idiotic, pathetic, ridiculous internal structure and dialogue that is incorrect that is doing it. So we don't know even the cruelty we're doing on other people simply because we think they're doing something on me. You don't exist, motherfucker. Not the way you think you do. You don't exist. It's an ego story that you've taken from a certain point of your age, from about 3 or 4, when you started to be kind of like mindful. It's not really who and what you are. Really who and what you are in the ego sense is the dizzy ass motherfucker. Right? So when I woke up the next morning, or didn't wake up or whatever, it was just finished, all the drugs that my system thought it needed was gone. I was free. And it was like, fucking hell, man. It was like, I can't put it into words how fantastic it was. I spoke everything I wanted to say. I didn't need anyone's approval. The amount of energy that we waste, I'm telling you, the amount of fucking energy that we waste the minute we get fucking up in the morning because of other fucking people and for their approval and for them to like us and all that nonsensical deluded bullshit, you would not fucking believe. The people that you think you love, you fucking hate. The people that you fucking hate, you really fucking love. So this lasted for about 2 or 3 days, man. I swear I had my own energy. It wasn't wasted. It wasn't seeped through with judging other people, with giving a fuck what they said. And one of the main things was I knew they had no power over me because I was in the zone of just, I was not sick. So I had everything. You could be quiet. You could be verbose to a certain point. You didn't need to be strong. You just needed to be kind of like who and what you were, what you are by nature, and that is strong. See, people have this false thing where being strong is having power over the people. You're a fucking dizzy ass cunt. Pardon my French, to think that way, because having power over anyone means that you're weak, really weak, because you need something else to validate a certain amount of strength in you that you can't get that way, right? So, and, so I'm going to read this part now from the Tao Te Ching. So you kind of know that story. So knowing ignorance is strength. Ignoring knowledge is sickness. All right, so what happened to me that particular moment was knowledge. I got knowledge from that moment. I knew there was a different state to be in while you were alive. This is back in 2006, so that was one big kickstart into me even getting to where I am right now. Is that, wait a second, once all them things drop from you, all the delusions drop from you, you're strong in your own being. You don't need to influence the whole world. You don't need to do anything. You just need to be centered within yourself to be really strong. Okay? And and your strength lies in not giving a flying fuck what anyone else thinks or thinks they know about you or whatever, or laughing at you or whatever. Your real strength resides in being way above that. So that's what entered into me, entered in after the sickness happened, because it was just like, fuck, man, I have real power. Only when we are sick of sickness shall we cease to be sick. Now, I was sick of that sickness that day. The next day, it lasted only 3 days. I say it lasted 3 days, right? And it was the most amazing 3 days of my life up until that point, right? Now, the sage is not sick, but is sick of sickness. This is the secret of health, right? So, now, just to change tempo a tiny bit, you know the story. It connects on with this, right? But these are all just thoughts and words, though, right? You're listening to my voice. You're watching the screen, perhaps, and you're seeing verse 71. But once it's translated to a certain point into a reality, then, only then can you understand, because I'm sure a lot of people have had this as well. We've all been sick, right? So we've all had this, and it's a good pointer to, wait a second, there's something else here, dude. I don't have to be a drug addict through my whole life. I don't have to be worried about this, that, and the other. Like I said, it's like worry planet. So people are frantically worrying because they're programmed to be fucking worrying and causing worry for themselves, right? It's a program. We've been programmed. Why do you think they call TV programs on TV? Because it's a program. They put it in the words. They have to tell you, right? It's like submitting this form because they want you to submit, right? So, but let me just, like I said, just kind of deviate a tiny bit now. The saddest moment for me at that time, right, was, and I remember it the minute it happened, when I knew it was going. I was like, internally, I was kind of like, don't go, don't leave, don't go. Because I had such self-respect at that moment, because I wasn't needy and I wasn't looking for anyone to give me anything. And the minute it started to come in my system again, like it's like a drug addict craving heroin. It was like, don't go. Don't fucking go, dude. Please don't go. And bit by bit, once I knew the minute it started coming in again, I knew it was going. It was like, oh, God, I have to be a fucking beggar again. Oh, dude, I have to be a fucking beggar again? And how long is it going to last? I have to beg and beg and beg from these other fucking beings? Are you fucking kidding me? So it was kind of like, that scene in the movie Awakenings with Robert De Niro and Robin Williams, when Robert De Niro's character was going back into being frozen, and it was like he could feel it coming, and there's nothing you can do about it. And there is nothing you can do about it, because either the truth chooses you because you become humbled enough to actually kind of like accept it, and it can beam through you to a certain point, right? So I kind of like took it on the chin, but it was a great pointer afterwards of kind of like there is a place that exists where you can operate, just operate the way you're normally, naturally supposed to operate. You're just operating. You're not a drug addict. Most people are drug addicts that don't even know it. And the cruelty that other people do, and other people that actually care about them as well, because they're drug addicts and they want something new. People are scum, and at the same time, I'm making these videos for them. But I have no delusions about human beings. I know what they are. I know what I am, or was, or am sometimes. So hopefully that was an interesting video. I kind of liked it, and adios.